Hello there and welcome to the very first edition of News Express for 2021. It is exciting to be here again to share with you big stories for the week from Nigeria's fastest growing financial and business newspaper, Business AM. My name is Rachel and I am moving right into the headlines now, starting from the cover page. The very first story on the cover page, AfCFTA takes off with 33 countries ratifying trade bloc. Of course, we are aware that this took off on January 1, sealing the economic union of African countries. But then again, according to the Secretary General of the trade bloc in this particular story now, he has said that it appears that most of the African countries are not yet ready to implement the terms of the AfCFTA because many of them lack the customs, procedures and infrastructure to facilitate free trade. We'll get into the story proper, but catch it on the front page, the very first story topping the page. And this one here, still on the front page, road to economic recovery mixed for Nigeria in 2020. Amidst ailing economic performance, inflation could climb to 16% in January. Growth in non-oil sectors to improve from first quarter 2021. Electricity tariff hike. Catch that one on the cover page of Business AM. And other headlines on the summary section. Deficit on track with spending. Equities to deliver on capital gains. Owerri should have dry port. Technology tops in Global 2021 ROI. That one's on the technology and innovation section. And in the commodities and agriculture section, we have agriculture without technology equals, well, find the answer on pages 22, and the others you can find on pages 4, 18 and pages 23 of Business AM. Let's begin now with bringing in our guest for today, the publisher Business AM, Mr. Philip Isapa, to join us for conversations. Good morning, Mr. Philip. It's great to have you on the show again.
Good morning and happy new year to our listeners.
Thank you. Now let's begin with the 2021 budget passed by the President at the end of 2020. It is on page 2 of the paper. It gives a breakdown of the numbers. Now, Mr. Philip, what are the obvious opportunities in that budget?
The biggest opportunity for the budget getting passed and signed and delivered before 1st of January 2021 is the confidence that it gives to the general operators or the participants in the economy. The thing with the budget of Nigeria is that a lot depends on it. In terms of preparedness, in terms of the ability for planning, and then settling down that corporate, for instance, the private sector requires, to really get things going. It's been a difficult year. 2020 is behind us. There's vaccine now that they say by the end of this month, Nigeria should be getting some batches of the vaccine, So vaccine will bring some confidence. But now getting into the budget proper is that because the budget has been passed and was passed in good time, and then the rollout began January 1. It means that planners have good numbers, to deal with, and then what different things that are going to happen, will begin to be put in place. But the executive sent in a budget of 13.08 trillion naira, if you recall, and by the time it came back and what was signed was 13.58 trillion, which means you have another 500 or so billion added to it. The Senate and the House, they found some areas where they needed to beef it up. Now, what are the opportunities? Well, you can look at the budget in terms of the expenditure profile. There's a 5.65 trillion as non-debt recurrent expenditure. You have 3.76 trillion naira that is for personnel costs, and you have 3.124 trillion for debt service. Now the key thing for budget largely, especially in this part. Okay, so we have the current running government and paying salaries and all of that. You know, will help that in terms of you pay salaries, you run the government. You know, but the major thing for growing the economy is in capital expenditure. You know, there isn't an awful lot there in terms of what has been passed, you know, and so that is a major challenge. Now, you know, the budget itself is a plan of what the government would like to see happen. You know, it's what government will says it wants to spend, you know, for the entire 12 calendar months. But there is a major challenge in terms of the way the global economy has played out. We talk here about revenues. You know, our revenues, you know, majorly tied to crude oil receipts. You know, and that's been problematic globally, you know, since from before 2019, 2020 got worse, and so revenues are going to be tough, you know, and that will. So if revenues are generated as planned, you know, you will have money going into capital expenditure. So there will be opportunities in the area of capital spending. You know, the roads that will be constructed, or there's that particular one dealing with some housing project that the government is planning to do across the entire federation. You know, which again will create some jobs if attention and focus is put on that, you know, using this budget that is kicking off very early, you know, to try to deal with, you know. So that's it. So 4.13 trillion naira, you know, for fiscal spending 2021. Nigeria needs to put in a lot of money in what's it called in capital expenditure. You know, needs to spend quite a lot of money, you know, on capital expenditure, but its ability to raise or to generate revenues to meet this need will play out, you know, in terms of the opportunities that we'll try to see. Maybe opportunity in terms of how the revenues are generated and they are pushed into the capital expenditure that are planned for this year. You know, it will ginger the economy. There's a lot to do. I mean, a lot in the area of power projects or power generation, and that government is looking into in terms of how it structures the power equation or power balance. You know, so we expect that it's not. Again, I keep making the point. It's not an awful lot of money. 4.13 trillion out of a 13.58 trillion naira budget. But let's see whether there is a systematic, a determined intention to generate money and release the funds that are required in terms of the spending that has been planned.
Right.
But great opportunity lies with how it settles the private sector, you know, to know that we know what government plans to spend now. It is starting. Nobody's going to be waiting. You know how we used to wait 7 years ago, 1 month, 2 months into the year. You know, some budgets were passed in March, some budgets were passed in June, you know. But when that was happening, the private sector and the entire economy largely, you know, was unsettled. You know, but this time, maybe what the opportunities we particularly see is the confidence it gives to the private sector and the operators within the Nigerian economy to move forward and look at different areas to put funding and spending.
All right, now, Mr. Philip, in just 2 minutes, take readers through other stories to look into this week.
Well, again, I mean, if you look at the front page, we talked about the road to economic recovery in next, and that's because with 2021 still going from the COVID-19 2020 scenario, there are still some challenges ahead, from what analysts are telling us. There are still some challenges ahead, but there are still some areas where some kind of recoveries will happen, and they say that that's it. I mean, that's why they say it's mixed. There'll be good, there'll be areas to be cautious about, and players in the economy will need to be careful about that. I would also like to draw attention to, again, the story about technology and agriculture. Again, we continue to focus on agriculture because we think agriculture is not being handled in the right way, because you talk about diversification. Now, diversification does not mean just producing food. Of course, we want to produce enough food to feed the Nigerian population. But diversification has to also be driven by what's it called, forest earning. We have been for decades, relied on crude oil as our major source of foreign exchange earning. But we think that it is important, that when we talk about diversification in agriculture, we should be global about it. And we have followed, our reporter has done a good study of this. Looked at it, talked to a lot of people, analysts who say that agriculture needs to be followed differently, and they say that globally technology, has been used, to change the dynamics of agriculture, in different parts of the world, and that the approach of pumping money, are not seeing effective results because you have a country that is going to the ECOWAS to borrow food, the ECOWAS reserve to borrow some grains the other time, and we are importing quite a lot, from outside. We need to now look at how they channel the resources and the money that is going into agriculture in a more productive and more intelligent way. And technology is key to this.
Okay, we'll have to wrap it up at this point, Mr. Philip. There are a lot of other interesting headlines readers can, look out for in this week's edition of Business AM. We'll get back to you at the end of the week for a review of developing stories and what to expect next week as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Philip.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Philip Isakba is the publisher, Business AM, Nigeria's fastest growing financial and business newspaper. The show continues after this break. Stay with us.